welcome to the Pipeline of People podcast powered by Versorix, the show where boutique firm leaders trade less admin for more advisory. Each week, we share actionable tactics to keep your client pipeline full and your team performing at its best. I'm your host, Jaden Parisi. Let's dive in. Today's guest is Chef Keith Jones, president of Chef Secrets and the executive chef at Honey Smoked Fish. Keith, welcome. Could you give us some background? How'd you start Chef Secret? That was like, what, 30 something years ago?
I was 30 something years ago. So Jaden, thanks a lot for having me on. It's a pleasure. And, the short story, the 15-second elevator pitch, the short story is I was a chef out in Denver, Colorado. I had walked into the kitchen of a CMC certified master chef right out of high school as a teenager. And I stayed with him for like 11 and a half years. He taught me his trade and he says, show up for work one day, Keith, I can't teach you anything else. He kicked me out. And I got on with a company and they were nationwide across the United States, but I connected with location in Colorado. So I relocated to Colorado and I'm with the company for about 10 years and I'm doing great numbers. And they wanted me to relocate from Denver to Seattle. And they wanted me to relocate when the housing market was upside down. So I refused the assignment and I went from the golden child to the redheaded stepchild. And then I had to get creative and get out on my own. So that's when I opened up my own company, Chef Secrets. And kind of like the inspiration going in was to be kind of like a consultant service for aspiring restaurateurs, owners, other chefs, just that whole food service industry. And in starting out, if you're a culinarian, work is plentiful. So you can get work anywhere and everywhere. So I connected with a buddy and started to do a lot of large scale catering operations. So Democratic, Republican conventions, Winter Olympics, NASCAR events. I'm talking about large scale events like that. And I was bouncing around and then I needed to get more of a base and a foundation. So I started connecting with other companies and, I got connected with a corporation that was traveling around the country and doing gourmet food events in different cities. So I'm traveling around these cities, and when they would go to a city, they would go into an area and kind of like, if you're a restaurant owner, hey, come to our show, do a demonstration on our chef stage, and I'll give you free advertisement. And they come to the local market, do a radio package, television package. So I was emceeing those events, traveling around the country with them. And every city I go to, I would look on the program, introduce myself to any Colorado companies, and that's how I got connected with the Honey Smoked Fish people. So it's kind of like the tangle web we weave.
Yeah, for sure. That's impressive background. You're kind of in the middle of like food, media, business. What's changed most about client expectations over the years?
Man, the biggest thing is, let's just say everybody is familiar with the world. Now we have a pre-pandemic and a post-pandemic reality. So pre-pandemic, we used to operate kind of like traditional ways. Post-pandemic, it's like the wild, wild west, baby. Everything is open. So now, we have the ability to be more direct. We have the ability to kind of like more thinking outside the box. The traditional way to do business, whether it's the food, the media, any of that is still going on. But a lot of the creativity that an individual can bring is more readily accepted and oftentimes looked for and encouraged.
Got it. So then what's your typical kind of engagement look like, focusing more on the consulting side of things? A potential client comes to you and says, hey, I need help. What can you do for me? What's your kind of default response?
So my response is, first of all, let's establish what are your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we understand what you're trying to do, then we'll come up with a program of how to get there. And I have a lot of experience with wholesale and retail, getting products in front of consumers.
Mm.
So when everything is said and done, sampling and demonstrations sells products. So when someone comes to me, that's the direction that I'm going to steer them in, is to let's see where we can harvest opportunities to get in front of people, whether it's individual or large groups. Hey, we're going to go do this show. We're going to go do this event. We're going to do this.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're not talking about the free sample stands at Costco.
You know, we hire those people, but build a program around them because they do offer a service, and you can tap into the service and inspire those people that are working for you, and just have them take it up to another level.
Got it. So the topic of today's episode is, kind of wearing too many hats, or like what happens, the cost of it, things like that. So I want to talk about, the hidden cost of doing kind of everything yourself. Where do you feel that the biggest time or energy leaks? Because you do quite a bit, obviously, right? So
Yes. And I'll tell you that first and foremost, I have a team.
okay,
So I don't even think about doing everything myself. And I'm all about stay in your lane, understand your role and stay in your lane. So I can bring people to the team and have them assist me in those efforts. And I'll tell you, you talking about hidden costs and how that can damage or disrupt what you're doing. First thing is, if you're trying to do everything, you're going to suffer from burnout, because it's no way, you're going to suffer from burnout. An 8-hour day would turn into a 16-hour day like that, because some things you're going to really excel at and other things you're going to be spinning your wheel. And because you're this individual that wants to try to put everything on your shoulder, everything on your back, you'll try to handle it. And then you will try to focus in, and then the time just flies by. And the more time flies by, the less creative you will be. And then you will end up pushing yourself into a box or a corner. And when that happens, shut it down, turn off the lights, the party's over, because nothing positive is going to come from that.
yeah, for sure. Was there a specific moment? Obviously you didn't always have a team, right? Was there a specific moment where you realized, I'm doing too much and it's not working, and I need to kind of start delegating things?
Well, I'm gonna say no, but I come from a kitchen. So in a kitchen, I had a team. So I always fostered that environment all throughout my career. So, if you think about the structure of a kitchen, you might just have 5 or 6 people that's working on producing that meal, producing that dinner, producing that lunch, or producing that plate for that event. Right? So you always have to work with that. And the harmony comes when everything comes together at the same time. So I went into it knowing, here's where I'm strong, here's where I'm weak. And I got the people to manage my weakness. So when I walked into the business, I knew, man, I got to have somebody to help me, because I don't know how to do this well. I don't know how to do this well. But it took me some time to find those right people.
So were you ever solo then, or just you kind of knew right away you needed a team and just kept them
I
up?
was solo in the beginning, but I knew right away that I needed people. So as a perfect example, when I started out, I knew I had to develop packages. Okay.
Mm.
So if I wanted to come to talk to you about earning your business, back then, I needed to leave a walk away with you. So here's a packet to kind of like introduce myself and my services. I worked at a private club, And our marketing director at that private club was phenomenal on the computer, phenomenal with putting together packets and kits and different things like that. So I'm like, I went to them right away. I'm thinking about doing this. I need your help. How can I get you on my team? Keith, I like you. It'll just be this and we can come together. So I started selecting people before I made the transition to say I want to do this.
Got it. Yeah, that's really smart. A lot of people kind of try and go off on their own and end up burning out. So.
Right. And if you try to go out on your own, I will say plan it. Don't like make it kind of like a spontaneous decision or something negative happens and it's just like, okay, you know what? I'm done with that whole thing. I'm going to start my own. When you get to that point, try to step outside of that and look at all the good that you can take from whatever that situation is and have that be your foundation, your starting point, and take the good and then put a plan in place to leave when you have as much to your advantage as possible.
Absolutely. And one thing I've noticed from just hosting these podcasts, I've done about 20 now with people from all sorts of different industries, and it's kind of validating to almost hear the same thing over and over again. Have a plan, get people that you can lean on and you trust, and it's just all the same kind of insights. It's quite unique. It doesn't matter the industry. It's the same principles apply everywhere.
Correct.
Yeah.
And technology is so fluid that it changes rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So you just think in the last, under a year, Chat GPT, AI changed the game.
Yeah.
And every day they're breaking new barriers. So
sure.
How does that influence or impact what you're doing? Because you think about whatever you're not doing, your competition may be doing.
Mm-hmm. How have you been able to, start using AI to help your business?
Well, it's a great kind of like tool to use, and once you get comfortable with it, I use it as a check and balance. So I'll always, put in hypotheticals. Hey, this is what's in front of me. This is what is a challenge. This is what is an obstacle. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then it'll just go off on its own and give me all kinds of information and support. And then it'll throw out some things that I wasn't even thinking about. And then I can choose to use it or let it go by, but I definitely feel good about picking and choosing on how it can assist me to do what I do. And most of my operation is traditional. We're operating like we used to, and we're just gonna stay in the comfort zone. And when I get into the creative side, that's kind of like when I'm doing my own goals and projects that I have for myself.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It's incredibly useful. But, kind of turning the lens inward to both you and your business, where are you now versus where do you want to be in, say, 12 months?
Okay, so, right now, it's interesting that we started out with Honey Smoke. So I left Honey Smoke and I'm with a new company, and the company is Mowi, Mowi, and we are the largest farm salmon producer in the world. It's a global company.
Wow.
And I am in the sales for them. So I'm on the distributor side. So the distributor is the wholesale side of the business. They have wholesale and retail. I'm on the wholesale side, and I touch a lot of broadline distributors. So getting myself familiar with that, and then anytime you see Keith, I'm working on something, man. So I have 3 projects that I'm working on that I hope to have some, I'm gonna say some, I'm not gonna say closure, but I'm flush out the opportunity and have it come to fruition where this is what I'm trying to do. And it's in the world of television and film. So I got 3 projects on the table that I'm pushing to networks and seeing if they will respond favorably to Chef Keith.
Is it more of a executive producer role, or are you like in it?
I got all the hats on, man. So I am all the way from the bottom, craft services, all the way to the top to executive producing, consulting, starring, a little bit of everything.
Oh, that's awesome. I look forward to hopefully seeing it someday.
Oh man, you keep your fingers crossed like this, because we've been getting some blessings along the way, and it's when you're doing something like that, and I'm sure you've heard this from some of your other guests as well. It's not about the accomplishment; it's about the journey. So it's been a fascinating journey, and I've been on this journey since, I'm not going to tell you a specific date, but it was November the 4th, 2002 at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Is when I officially started.
Wow, that's it's great that you remember the exact day and time.
Passion close to my heart, man. Close to
Yeah.
my heart, because it's one of those projects, and we all have something. We all have things that we might be passionate about, and sometimes some of us are blessed and or fortunate enough to where our passion in lines with how we live, and sometimes our work. So when you have that, it's right here, and it sticks in the head, and it's definitely, you can recall it kind of like instantly, because it's an intimate journey when you're trying to go from nothing to something.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I want to move on to a quick rapid fire now. So I have a few questions, just whatever's on the top of your head. Sound good?
All right.
Okay. Biggest myth about being your own boss.
The biggest myth will be it's easy, because when you are your own boss, do you accept criticism? Will you look yourself in the mirror and be honest? My wife tells me all the time, you should let that go. You should let that go. And I'm just like, figured it out, and I'm going to follow it all the way through. And she's like, you should let that go.
Okay. Very good. One thing that a solo leader should try delegating this week.
I would say in any kind of particular project that might be close to you, that you can hopefully delegate to someone in your sphere. And it could be, like, I'm not strong on the computer. So a lot of computer projects, I need assistance. And so sometimes I delegate to my team, but then other times I'm like, I really want to learn that. So I will try to piggyback them and have them teach me. And then in another thing that can be delegated readily is finance. A lot of people are not necessarily as strong in financial aspects as they should be. Managing money is kind of like the core. So if you're not strong, you should, hopefully you can delegate to people that you trust, because that's the whole ball of wax, is the money.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Favorite lesson that you've learned from the kitchen that applies to business?
Most importantly, you cannot do everything yourself.
That's
right?
perfect. Yeah.
And you must have a team, and you can only be as strong as the weakest link. So get your team and try to have everybody elevate to a certain level. No weak links.
Yeah, that's great. Finally, what's the best piece of advice that you've been given, professional or personal?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given was, life is all about timing. and position yourself to have proper timing as much as possible. And um, when you're trying to position yourself for timing, you never know when the timing is going to be right. So prepare, prepare, prepare. And then when the opportunity presents itself, recognize it and attack it. Do not sit on the sidelines and let it go by, because it might not never come back again. So be real sensitive to where you are in timing, life and timing. Be sensitive to it and capitalize on it when it strikes. And even if it's not all the way open, you know how they say that window of opportunity, it might not even be all the way open, but just if it's open a little bit, try to get it. And then I'm gonna show my age. So I'm gonna go way, way back. And it was a movie that I grew up watching. It was Shaft. Okay. Richard Roundtree was Shaft. This was way back in the day. He didn't go through the door. He came through the window.
Mm. I haven't seen the movie, so maybe that's showing my age a little bit.
Okay. So think about that door's right there, and that could be okay, but there's a window over there. Think about going through that window.
Okay, great. Keith, thank you. This was a blast. I love your energy. Where can people reach you if they want to follow your work or your books or kind of get in contact with you?
Well, everything is posted on chefkdj.com. So you could get me at chefkdj.com. You go there and we got all the stuff posted to social media, all the links and connections with that. And then we do have our book online, and the book is kind of like a portion of my time throughout my career is well done. Because when I walked into that kitchen with that master chef, I ate my steaks well done, and they laughed me all the way out. Now I eat them medium rare, so I'm a lot better now. But it was a transition of how that happened, and this is my well done story is kind of like a capsule of my time in the industry. And then sometimes we post our projects, that television and film that I mentioned to you. Sometimes we post snippets there. So I try to keep my audience engaged in that manner. And recipes and different things. So it's a great resource.
Okay, amazing. If this episode sparks something, share it with a creative entrepreneur or founder in your network. Until next time, I'm Jaden Parisi. This is the Pipeline and People podcast.
Thank you, sir. And let's do another one. Let's do another one. We got
Absolutely.
to return.
I'll be sure to have you back. All right.